This week on One Crazy Story, comedian Mark Poolos joins us to talk about how nature can ruin comedy.
Because I got to the casino, I think, around like 5:30.
Yeah.
And I checked in, and the lady said, "Did you come the Bridgeway?" And I said, "No, I came from the Minneapolis way." And she was like, "Oh, good, because they closed the bridge." And I said, "Yeah, I know, the other comedian is south of the bridge."
Yeah.
And she goes, "Well, that's where he'll stay." And I was like, it was so sinister.
Hello and welcome to another edition of One Crazy Story. I'm your host, Nate Armbruster, and this week I'm talking with comedian Mark Poolos. I've known Mark for a few years now, a comedian out of Minneapolis, Minnesota, and worked together 100,000 times. He's a great guy, super funny stand-up comedian, and Mark was kind enough to join me on the podcast this week by phone and talk about a gig we did a couple weeks ago, and it went horribly wrong. Not the show, but everything leading up to the show. I missed the show. This is the first gig in my career. I've been doing stand-up for about 10 years. First show I've ever done that I just didn't make it to. Thankfully, it wasn't a real bad reason. I mean, I'm okay. I wasn't in a bad accident. Nothing bad happened to me, but you know, the gig was in northern Michigan in the Upper Peninsula, which is connected by one bridge and one bridge only. And that's a 5-hour drive from the Metro Detroit area where I was leaving from. And I left with plenty of time. And by the time I got up there, I found out the bridge had been closed due to falling ice from hanging from the top of the bridge, which is apparently a normal thing this time of year. In the spring, when it starts to warm up, everything that built up over the season just starts falling, and apparently it's very deadly. It's heavy ice. It's the size of a car, according to the people at the bar I got drunk at while I was waiting for the bridge to reopen, which, spoiler alert, never reopened. So it was a very frustrating night. It's one of those things where you can't do anything about it. You just got to kind of take it, and, life sucks sometimes, I guess. You know, it's unfortunate, but that's how comedy works. So there you go. Don't do the show, don't get paid. You drive home 4 or 5 hours to just the saddest drive. But thankfully, it was my friend Mark that was headlining. He understood. He's like, I guess, there's nothing you can do about it. Whatever. We did everything we could. I waited until the last minute to go home. I was like, I don't know what else to do. I'm just stuck here. You're just stranded. You just feel like an idiot. And even though it's not your fault, there's nobody's fault. It's nothing you can do. So, and this is how great of a person Mark is he actually sent me money for gas. He felt that bad, and he's that nice of a guy and that good of a person. So, and that doesn't happen a lot. I'm friends with Mark, but there's people I'm really close with too that I know wouldn't send me money if this happened. You know what I mean? So that's how great of a guy Mark is, and that's why you guys will love this podcast. He's a great guy. Everybody should know who Mark Poolos is. So right now I need you to go to your computer or phone device and type in markpoolos.com. Find out where he's performing live. He's probably coming to a town near you. Probably has been. He will be back. So follow him. Get in touch with him. Send him an email. Tweet him. Do all of that stuff. Buy his album, which this is a One Crazy Story first. I will actually play a clip from his latest album, and you'll hear it comes up in conversation that one of the tracks on the album was actually inspired by a gig we did together in the UP. It's a story from a gig we did, and it's pretty great. So I need you all to go over to iTunes and buy the album, which there will be a link in the iTunes description. Or if you can't find it that way, you can always go to his website, markpoolos.com, find it that way. Or you can find it on Spotify. Listen everywhere. Just support my friend Mark. He deserves it. He's a great dude, a funny comedian, and anyone who's kind enough to take time out of their day to be on the podcast deserves all the fans in the world. So thank you to Mark for coming on the show. And if you guys want to get in touch with me, just send an email to onecrazystory@gmail.com. Let me know what you think of the show. If there's someone you want to hear more of, if you have a story you want to share with me, just let me know. We can have you on the show. Also, get in touch with me on Twitter, all the social media. Also, you can find me on all the social media at Nate Comedy, or if you don't like me and you just want to follow the show, you can always follow One Crazy Story. Get in touch that way. Follow the show, subscribe on your favorite podcast app, leave a review. That'd be fantastic. Well, that's enough for me. Now enjoy this episode with myself and comedian Mark Poolos. I don't think I actually have seen you in person since that day my girlfriend and I ate barbecue at your house.
Is that it?
I'm
that the...
I'm almost positive that's the last time I saw you in person. Which fantastic brisket.
You just, oh, well, thanks, man. You guys just slid into the house and ate all our food? Then
I mean, when you put it like that, we do sound like assholes. That's really what it is.
Are you still seeing the same lady?
Yes, all is well.
Congrats, man.
Thank you. I don't even remember when that was before. Was that like the holidays, right? It was a few months easy.
It had to have been. I thought it was over the summer.
You know what? It probably was. Who barbecues at Christmas? it's probably a good point.
Well, I did smoke the turkey, so.
No, it was before the turkey because I remember specifically asking if you were going to smoke the turkey.
Oh, yeah.
Nope.
So maybe it was.
Yeah, it was like probably like
of August, like September.
Something like that. But I remember you had those exchange students still too, so it was probably during school. I don't know. Anyway.
Which ones did we have?
Oh man, you guys were going to
Thailand?
Oh no, I can't remember. One of them was going
in Italy.
Ukraine and Italy because one of them had a play or something that night. I remember it being like,
oh,
that's why we left early.
We're talking like May.
Oh God, it's been a year, almost a year.
Yeah, we're talking like April, May. Yeah,
oh my
we
God,
left the second week of June.
Oh my God, time flies, dude. And I haven't seen you, which is why I always.
We were almost going to see each other.
I know, this is why I always jump at the opportunity to see Mark Poolos. You know, I'm like, I don't get to see him that often, and I was like, we got this gig, booked this gig together up in the UP of Michigan, the Upper Peninsula. Yes, Bay Mills Casino in Brimley.
The UP, which I believe is considered the Paris of the Midwest.
Is it really?
I don't think.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, you know more.
The toilet of the Midwest.
The toilet of the Midwest, yes. Yeah, I you're from Minnesota, so I guess it's fair. But yeah,
it's such a strange world in that Upper Peninsula.
Mm-hmm. It's a whole different.
Only one way in and one way out.
Yes, and it's a whole different country. It's like it could be its own state. I should do a whole podcast on Michigan history.
You really should, because it is deep and it is rich,
especially up in the UP.
And it would just be in the shape of a hand.
That's it. That's all I would talk about is how it's shaped like a hand.
Isn't it funny though? Like when they do the hand thing for Michigan, that doesn't encompass the UP. Like they completely omit it.
I've seen some people. I know it's very narcissistic of us, but I've seen some people. I've seen some people put the other hand up and kind of try and make it look like that, and they're like, "All right." And even as someone from Michigan, I'm like, okay, all right, calm down with the, you know what I mean? It's like, it's
cut it out with the shadow puppets.
Yes, it doesn't help me at all. It doesn't.
The guy's like, huh?
Yeah, if you need, if you need to use your hand to figure out where you're going, you're not going that far north. Like it's like you're not gonna make it. You don't need to know about this.
I think the last gig we ever did together was when I had to leave the stage and use the toilet immediately.
Oh my God. And that was also in the UP.
That was also in the UP.
Dude, there's something about the UP and us. Something weird happens every time.
It just really comes at us and really causes some problems.
Well, that particular show that you just mentioned was we ate before the show. We ate all that pizza, and that's dangerous before a show, It
was way too much pizza.
We ate all of it too.
And like heavy pizza. It wasn't.
Yeah.
This wasn't a thin crust.
It was heavy. But that's why normally lately I've been really good at avoiding eating before shows where I'm like, I'm not going to eat just in case I have a Mark Poolos incident. But but that particular night I was like, I got enough time. I'll eat this now. I'm first. I'll get this out of the way. I got plenty of time. I'll just if anything happens, it's while Mark is on stage just in pain. You're like, hey, if you don't see me standing right here in a half hour, stretch. Okay? I'm like, okay.
It was one of those nights where anything could have happened. I could have lost my pants. I could have made it through. It was a night of dreams and whimsy.
Sometimes, yeah, well, nightmares.
Yeah.
Oh God, that's the worst.
I've never felt more like out of control of my set on stage than I was that night.
Well, it throws you off.
It's just like one of those things where it's like, your body is doing something that you just can't stop. So
Yeah.
you're like,
You have no
well,
choice.
I'm gonna hold this together as long as I can, and then there's gonna be problems.
Yep. Don't step in any direction, or else this is gonna be a bad night for everybody.
And that could have been the worst toilet in the history of toilets.
And do you avoid? Sometimes I avoid using the bathroom in emergency or not. I'll avoid the bathroom after a set because I don't need the awkward like, "Hey man, you're funny" while I'm peeing. Like just some guy
slowly rub your shoulders back and forth. Hey, you did a great job tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
And nothing's worse than being the guy that's blowing it out and then like, oh, you were the last guy. Oh, hey.
Well, that was the problem with that toilet. It was like the worst setup of a toilet ever because it was almost like they started with a toilet and a urinal.
Yeah.
And then somebody was like, we need one more urinal. And then they blew the other side out.
Yeah.
And it was like toilet in the middle of the bathroom and urinals flanking it on both sides.
Yeah.
What a weird bathroom.
And there's a line. Then there's a line when you get out. It's like, Jesus, all right. Everybody knows it was me now. God damn it.
I can't end up having to use a number 2 during a show when there's like 9 people in the audience. It has to happen when there's 303 toilets.
Yeah, you're outnumbered. I think I sold a couple shirts for you though while you were in there.
You did.
I remember I made you some money.
But that whole show was what birthed Side Saddle Pooper from my new album.
Oh yeah, that bit. That's right. Which everybody should check out, which they can find anywhere on iTunes, Spotify, anything.
Oh,
all that, right?
Yeah. Husband, Father, Idiot. Yeah.
Husband, Father, Idiot is the name of the album, which is great. I liked it. The artwork was sweet too.
Yeah, Mr. Mom. It was a homage to the Mr. Mom poster.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
But the whole point of that was the fact that I was pooping in there, and people just kept coming in going, "Who's pooping in here?" Like, how do you care? They were really trying to get down to the bottom.
They were really aggressive. They were really aggressive with it. Can I play it? Would you care?
If you want to, man. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Love doing the road. A lot of fun places to go, a lot of fun clubs. I was at a place a couple weeks ago. The owner of the club took me out to dinner. It was a nice place. It was a lot of fun. Although I had a panic attack halfway through the meal because I had that feeling where you're like, man, I'm gonna take a crap in this restaurant. But you know how like sometimes you're like, I might be able to make no, this is happening. But I was like, it's a nice restaurant. It's got to be a nice bathroom, so I go in there. Nice bathroom, big problem though. 3 toilet stalls, not one of them have a door on it. I was like, well, this is great because nothing I enjoy more than pooping in public. While I do it, I like to chat with strangers. That's what I like. I felt bad for them, what they were about to walk in on. I was trying to give them a heads up and hear that door squeak open. I'd be like, I'm shitting in here! It's a grown man on the toilet! No door! You can see it all! Some people were nice, Some people looked like they walked in on a crime scene. There was one guy, he was the absolute worst. He walks in and he sees me and he goes, damn it! And then just leaves. I was like, did this just completely ruin his bathroom experience? While I was trying to process that, I hear him outside the bathroom. He's addressing the entire restaurant. He's like, guys, you're not going to believe this. There is a guy shitting in there right now. No door on the toilet. You can just see him doing it. And I'm like, what is he telling everyone? Guys, I got so self-conscious, I actually thought about turning around on the toilet and just sitting on it like a horse. I was like, I am so done interacting with people. You can't do that. That's just going to open up a whole new bag of issues. Somebody comes in and sees that and is like, what the hell? You walk to security like, listen, I don't want to tell anybody. I think there's a guy having sex with a toilet. He's sitting backwards, he's got no pants on, it doesn't make any sense. Think about it, if you poop backwards, you have to take your pants off. There's no other way to do it. I mean, workshop it. What, are you going to shoot your legs out behind you? That's not going to work. Going to throw your feet up on the tank? What are you, part of the circus? That's not going to work. I told that joke one time, some guy got all mad. He's like, stop making fun of pooping backwards. I do it all the time. All the time? What are you, 7? What are you crapping backwards for? He's like, it's my house. It's relaxing. Throw the laptop up in the tank. You know? Zip through some Netflix series. I'm like, Netflix series? Need some fiber. See your doctor. Why are you going to the bathroom for half a Netflix series? Candy Crush game, I'm out of there. What are you doing? You ever find yourself in the bathroom without your phone nowadays? How awkward is that? You're like, so what, I just sit here like an idiot? Just stare at the shower curtain pattern? It's a horrible feeling.
It's pretty cool because it literally is a bit that was born of our friendship.
That's kind of, oh man, it makes me feel special.
You were there for the birth of that bit. I don't know if that's good or bad.
Are there any others?
That you inspired?
Yeah. Just out of curiosity. You don't have to lie.
Let's see. Were you there for Koi Pond? I don't know if you were there for Koi Pond.
I don't
went to
know.
the Koi Pond when I was at one of the loony bins, and I thought either I was about to work with you or I was working with you when I went to the Koi Pond. But anyways, that would have been the only other one that would have been cursory to our friendship.
I feel like, yeah, there's always
Side
something.
saddle pooper is
Side saddle
all you,
pooper.
man.
I appreciate it. Well, dude, this brings us full circle because I didn't even expect to really talk about that. But I think but I'm just so glad because it goes to show you how little we're able to actually hang out and talk. But because it's been how long since that incident, and and now it's on an album. It's great.
Yeah.
I'm honored.
It's really funny.
We
We haven't seen each other in so long. A joke that happened while we were together is now on an album.
Yeah, it took you time to write the joke, work it out long enough to make it, or put it on a record. You're good.
And now we're back.
And we were going to Brimley, and you're coming from Minnesota.
Yeah, because they have a lot of problems with people not showing up and weather up there, which makes sense. So what they do is they offer a room the night before, so comics would get there early. And I don't think any of us. I don't know when the last time I took advantage of that option at all. Like, I don't remember the last time I went in a day early. Because
Yeah.
I'm like, how bad could the weather be that we couldn't get there?
I don't think, I've done comedy in Michigan 10 years, and all the weather I've driven in, I've never had a problem. Like, nothing that catastrophic. I've had some really bad experiences with weather, but nothing like that. I always got through it. It was never like deadly. I mean, it's dangerous, but not like, whoa, almost didn't make it. I just leave an extra 4 hours early, and it's usually, you know what I mean? That's usually enough to weigh the difference. But
if you take it slow and just don't be an idiot, you can usually get there.
Yeah, that's usually what I do, and it's always worked out, And I got an email the week of the gig. Hey, do you want the Thursday night room? Because our show's Friday. And I go, no, that's crazy. Don't worry about it. And here I am thinking like, this guy's going to like me because I'm like low maintenance. There's no extra room. There's no bullshit. That's like the comedian in me that's like low maintenance. Don't, you know what I mean? You can tell that was my intention. And
he got off his computer and he was like,
someone
I really dig this guy.
Yeah, like as if that really fucking matters.
No, yeah.
But like,
he probably went, whatever.
Yeah, well, he was probably thinking more like, what a moron. Who doesn't take the room when you get the offer? You
Yeah.
know? So I just kind of like said, no, don't worry about it. I'll be fine. It's only 4 hours for me. It's nothing, you know? I'll leave at 8 a.m. I'll get there plenty early for the show. It'll be fine. And I was like, I was even then talking to you about doing the podcast while we were together up there. So I was like, this will be perfect. I'll see Mark. We'll do a podcast. It'll be great. I hit the road at like 9 a.m. or something. And it's just awful weather. And I'm like, oh, great. And I'm like, well, this is just going to be a long day, but not bad, right? So I hit the road, start making my way up.
Bad weather?
Yeah, in Detroit it was. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like it was like really like rainy and like kind of like just that garbage slush that you gotta, you know. It was just enough for me to go, great, I'm in morning rush hour and like, you know, it's just going to be annoying for a little bit. But once I got a little bit north, it was like smooth sailing. I'm cruising. Life's great. I'm about 20 minutes out from the bridge, and I'm like in the home stretch, and I'm at 2 exits before. Now the Mackinac Bridge, a 5-mile bridge from the lower peninsula to the upper peninsula. It's a huge thing, and it's the only way to get to the upper peninsula, at least especially in like the winter. I don't know, there might be ferries in the summer but like, you know, there's the all the water is just ice, so there's no way of getting over there unless it's by bridge. And I'm 2 exits away, and I see this sign. I see this sign that says, you know, bridge closed, take a next exit, which is the last exit before you get on the bridge. And I was like, oh shit, what do you mean it's closed? You know? And turns out it was falling ice. Apparently that's a thing. Apparently that's the thing that happens.
I had no idea that was a thing.
I didn't either, and it sounds like such a bullshit excuse when you call. Like, so I called you and I was like, "Hey man, I'm like an hour away, if that, and I'm just not gonna be able to cross the bridge."
Like, when was the first sign that you saw that gave you any inclination that the bridge was closed?
It was like 3 miles before I got to the bridge.
That's so insane. Like, there's digital signs in Minneapolis that'll tell you that there's a crash like 20 minutes ahead or something. And there's not one sign like hours before that are like, hey, buddy, just a heads up. Like, this bridge might not be there when you get there.
I know. So, like, it was just like 2 exits before you get to the bridge. And I'm like, Jesus, I didn't know this happened. It's like, It was a beautiful day, too. That's why I'm like, what is it closed for? And then, you know, that was when I found out about the falling ice. Like, literally the size of a vehicle. Like, it's dead, like that deadly that, you know, or like people would swerve and like either go off the bridge or like oncoming traffic or something.
About, like, how would you like to be the person that realized that it was time to close the bridge? Like,
oh my God, yeah.
Driving along like, doot, 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 and a car-sized ice block lands on your hood.
I couldn't imagine. Like, oh, we better shut it down, everybody.
Oh shit!
I couldn't imagine like part of me, because you know, once I got up there, I was like, oh boy, I will cross this bridge. I'll risk it.
Well, yeah.
And because I need the I need the gig, I need the money, I need the,
like,
you know.
Spoken like a true comedian.
Yeah,
you're like, you know what? I've been through worse shit.
Yeah.
You just raised the gate. I'll do this.
And they have like people blocking, you know, both ends. They have it all blocked off and stuff, and they're directing. And then there's also just a line of traffic waiting to get, and it's closed indefinitely.
Like, how many cars were it? Like, was it just a complete mess when you got up there?
It was bad. It was like, you know, I mean, all right, this is going to sound extreme, but I mean, the only thing I could compare it to is like there's just an influx of people just stuck in Mackinac City because of this. So every car that was coming up that didn't know about it had to pull off. So there's either like there's like a mile-long line of traffic just waiting and hoping that it'll open soon, or it's people that got off and they're like getting lunch or getting wasted. You know, and the hotel prices surged because they knew people would probably be needing it. So like the hotel prices, it's like, it's just so shitty. Like,
well, that's what the lady said. Like when I got to, because I got to the casino, I think around like 5:30.
Yeah.
and I checked in, and the lady said, she said, "Did you come the Bridgeway?" And I said, "No, I came from the Minneapolis way." And she was like, "Oh, good, because they closed the bridge." And I said, "Yeah, I know. The other comedian is south of the bridge."
Yeah.
And she goes, "Well, that's where he'll stay." And I was like, it was so sinister. I was
Oh
like,
shit. So
"Are
this
you deciding this right now?
yeah.
Are you the one in charge of the bridge?"
She's the one, yeah, she's in charge of the ice as it's falling. She's like, "Let more go."
Well, that's where he'll stay.
Well, and the thing, and the thing is, like, I'm watching, like, I went over to the shore, and you can see, like, you can look. I'm gonna see how much ice is on this. I'm all pissed, like, cause, and mind you, I still have like 5 hours until showtime. So I have,
Well, yeah, it was ridiculous.
yeah.
Amount of time.
So I'm like, everybody locally, everybody I saw or talked to up there was like, yeah, it could be overnight, it could be an hour, who knows? It's just whatever they decide. And I'm like, what? Like, is it that bad? And
How arbitrary is it? Who's the one that decides?
well, that's the thing is, like, how are you qualified? You're like, yeah, it looks like it's gonna fall. Like, like what? I mean, isn't that always?
They have ice spotters in the crow's nest.
Well, and that's the thing is, like, I saw a truck that kept driving back and forth over the whole time is driving back and forth, and I'm like, no one seems concerned about this guy, and he seems to be getting back and forth just fine.
Was he working for the bridge?
Yeah.
Or-
Yeah, it was just a
Oh.
guy that's like, all right, I'm gonna go check this ice out. And
Why don't they just get a big guy and just have him kick the bridge really hard and knock all the ice
yeah,
out?
like Commission King Kong or something.
Get a strong man with a giant hammer and just
Yeah.
have him hit the bridge till it all knocks off.
Just start shooting the ice down. Can we speed this process up? Because everybody's attitude, and that's the thing about, like, up north, is everybody's like, life, nobody's in a hurry. Life's good. We're just, everybody's, like, it's just, I got a friend on I'll just go hang out at his place until the bridge opens up. And I'm like, guys, I got to work.
Was there a moment where you thought about just going for it across the water?
Oh, my God. I kind of did. Because I was like, this is probably, it was frozen enough. I'm like, I could walk, and I was gonna see if you could, like, pick me up on the other side.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I was getting, like, desperate because
Is
this is
that legal? Like,
can't be.
Can you walk
Well,
across?
I don't see why not. How could, because it's like it's nature. Nobody owns. Does somebody own somebody owns the water? Like it's a lot of questions. I'm so
sure the police or somebody.
yeah. Well,
for safety reasons.
I'm
Be
really-
like, get out of there.
Yeah, like Coast Guard or some shit. Just
I don't even know.
like helicopter in. I would freeze halfway through. I'm so not not equipped physically to do anything.
I felt so bad for you, man. Like,
Dude, it sucked.
there's just like in this business, like there's so many things that'll get in our way to try to get to a gig, but it's just like the most debilitating feeling in the world where there's like nothing you can do about it. You're just gonna miss the gig.
Yeah, and nothing was wrong. I left early. I did everything right, and then still was like, nope, just gonna wait here and hopefully it opens up in time. And then I call,
man.
and I called you when I called you the first time. You're like, well, just let me know. And then you check in, and you're like, I'm here. Where you at? And I'm like, still over here.
And that lady who ran the show, she was like, because I brought it up to her when I came down there. I was like, there's a chance that he might make it across and be here like later. Is there a way that we can hold the show? And like her face was like, the show begins at 8 p.m. And I'm like, oh, so like we can't hold it. The show begins at 8 p.m.
Oh my God.
I'm like, alrighty.
Yeah. Well, and by this time, by the time it became like point of no return, because it was still 45 minutes to get to the gig after I crossed the bridge. And I had eventually just gone to this bar, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna have a drink. I'm gonna eat some food. I had a bad feeling about, and I was like, I'm gonna enjoy the rest of this, what I got left of here. So,
God.
I know it was so And
Is
actually,
it just like nowhere to walk or park or anything?
no,
Because it
there
was just
was
like
it was
tons of people.
the whole town is just, people everywhere. Every place is
Yeah.
packed. So like I think like the locals liked it. They're like, we're bringing some business in. I think they just
Well,
close
yeah.
it to bring some money in. Like,
Or like our coffers are empty. Call John and
yeah,
shut the bridge.
yeah, right. Shut the bridge
Let's
down.
let's fill our pockets
Yeah,
here.
exactly. And I think was like there was like 3 or so hours, maybe two, before it was like too late. I'm just parked along the water, like just hanging out. And this guy is going car to car with like pamphlets and stuff, and I'm thinking it's like like come to my church or something, like something like
Oh yeah.
something I just I don't know, something that I wanted to ignore. And I was on the phone with I think with my girlfriend, and this guy comes up to my window and he goes, "You look like you need a drink." And I go, sure. And he gives me this like flyer for this bar, and I ended up going. And I ended up going. I'm like, oh fuck it, I'll just go to this place and just kill some time. And then
Well, it must happen a lot if
yeah,
there's a guy who's designated to be the
yeah.
flyer man
He's
for
like, I'm
the
gonna go get some
people
of these
waiting on the
people.
bridge.
I'm gonna get some of these people to come drink and spend some money. And I was, because all the locals. I was like, they said it's gonna open in an hour and a half or something, And he goes,
Oh yeah.
yeah, nah. he just,
Yeah.
he's like,
Nah.
oh yeah, you're not from around here, are you? I'm like,
I the only thing that I could equate to like this experience for you was there was a time where I had to drive from Montreal, Canada to Marco Island, Florida
holy
in like
shit,
2 days.
holy shit. Is that even like
And that
okay,
was on Easter Sunday.
okay?
So
Oh, that's coming up,
yeah.
the
So I had
anniversary.
yeah. So I had to drive through New York, through Washington, D.C. And the funniest part about the whole thing was the drive through New York, Washington, D.C., Baltimore, everything was fine. And then I got south of Raleigh, Durham, and apparently there was like an 11 car pileup.
Oh
And it
my
was one
god.
of those things where like it was a mile after an exit and like a mile before an exit. And it
Oh,
was just stop.
oh, no.
And it's like you can't go anywhere because the police are blocking the shoulders.
Yeah.
So I literally had to sit in my car for like 5 hours
Oh, dude, that's the
waiting.
worst.
And like I was on like a really tight deadline to the point where I had plans to like stop and sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to like just keep drinking Red Bulls and go or I wasn't going to make it.
Oh my god.
And I made it to the gig. It was like one of the only times I ever did a gig where I had to like drive to the show and like put my pants on in the parking lot and just walk in and do the show. And I was so tired. I remember I was working with Brad Tassel
No, yeah.
from
It's like,
Santa Claus, Indiana.
yeah, yeah.
And it was like a horrible show. I was just so tired. I got back in my car, and there's like a bridge that goes from Marco Island back to like Fort Myers
Mm.
area. And I got pulled over on the other side
No.
because I was like swerving. And the cop's like, "You've been drinking?" I'm like, "No, I'm just exhausted." And he's like, "Get out of the car." And like, I had to do the
Oh
breathalyzer and
shit.
everything. He goes, "Wow, you are sober." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just exhausted." And he's like, "Well, where's your hotel?" And I'm like, "It's, you can see it. It's the Holiday Inn right there." And he's like, "All right." And he let me go, but I was just like, "What a nightmare."
I know you were exhausted in that moment, but how satisfying is it when a cop tries to like, oh, you're wasted, aren't you? And you're like, no, I'm really just tired, sir. And he's
Well,
like, bullshit. Get out of the car. And you're like, no, seriously, man, I'm not. I haven't
dude,
had a drink. And like when you
here's
blow,
here's the best. Here's the best one of those of my entire career.
oh, here we go.
So I was in a fraternity at the University of Minnesota, and every party that we had, like we would have different jobs, like
Mm-hmm.
security and checking IDs and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. And if you were the person checking IDs or like making sure nobody was breaking stuff or whatever,
Yeah.
you weren't really supposed to be drinking because you were like
Yeah. You were like,
supposedly on shift or whatever.
yeah, on the clock, no drinking.
Yeah, so there was a party that we had, and I was running security, and my sister showed up to the party, and she just parked the car like half in and half out of a driveway. I go, "Where'd you park the car?" And she's like, "Oh, just over there." And I go, "Well, you can't just park there. Like, campus
Yeah.
police are gonna tow you away." And she's like, "Oh, whatever." And I'm like, "Oh God, I'll go move your
Yeah,
car."
right. Now, are you
So I
the
go,
older brother?
"Yeah."
Yeah.
So I go out there and I get in her car, and like I hadn't even started the car, and I was just swarmed by police. And they pull me out of the car, they handcuff me and put me in the back of the squad car, and they go, "Well, I go, "I didn't even start the car, and I haven't been drinking." And they're like, "Well, it's still a DUI." And I'm like, "Oh, whatever."
What?
So they get the thing and they breathalyze me, and they're both like looking at it all sinisterly. And I go, "Guys, I know it says 0. I haven't had anything to drink." And they're like, "All right,
Yeah.
well, just," and then they gave me a ticket for a parking violation.
Oh, God.
So I moved the car into the parking garage, and I'm coming back, and it was like winter time,
Mm-hmm.
and I hit a patch of ice, and I just fell straight up my face
Oh, no.
right next to the cop car.
Dude.
And they rolled the window down. They were like, "Watch it, big man." I was
Jesus.
like, "Kiss my ass," and I ran back into the house.
Oh, dude. Like, you might as well have, that's the thing is, like, you didn't even get to enjoy yourself and get drunk,
Oh no!
you know?
And then I
You're
I'd
like,
be the designated driver at the end of the night because everybody else was drunk, and I came out, and they were still sitting there,
no,
and they were like, "You have any drinks yet?" And I'm like, "No,
I'm
the
working,
sober
man."
driver, asshole."
Yeah, I'm doing the
Get a
right
life.
thing here. Oh, campus police, man.
No, yeah.
What are you gonna do? Call a real cop?
Yeah. But I have to actually thank you, because you missing that gig in Michigan led to me crossing another item off of my comedy bucket list.
Yeah, so
I
finally
did the entire show by myself.
now normally though,
I did 90 minutes, and
it's
it
so
was
long.
all solid material. I didn't do any crowd rap. It was like,
Yeah.
I don't really like to boast on myself, but it was pretty impressive.
That is a huge deal because I was at the bar and you called me. Oh, dude, like straight out of a movie. It was like the saddest thing. I'm just like, because I had been sitting in Mackinac City for 3-4 hours doing nothing, just waiting for this bridge in my car. Because I'm like, once it opens, I got to get over it. You know what I mean? Because I don't know how much time it'll be open for or whatever. So I had, I'm ready. I'm like waiting, and then finally, I'm like, it's not gonna happen. I finally accept it. I end up going to that guy's bar, and it actually was a great place. I want to go back. And I sat at this bar, ate dinner, I was drinking, and this girl next to me said she was going to Brimley too, and she actually worked at the bar down the street from the casino. She goes, "Oh yeah, I've been to those shows. You got and like she was like, we were going to the show tonight." And I was like,
God.
"Get the fuck out of here," because I'm not going. It's not going to work. And you had called me and you're like, "Look, we're doing the show. This lady won't, there's no way, And
She would not budge.
yeah, and you were just like, "I'm sorry, man." And I go, "So what happens now?" Because obviously there's nothing either of us can do, but I was also thinking like, man, this puts you in a shitty spot because because some casinos, you have to do an hour and a half, regardless of who's there, who shows up, what's going on.
Of course.
And sometimes, like a realistic or understanding person will be like, "Look, we'll just do what you can, and we'll just."
Not this lady.
Yep. So you're like, I said, "Hey man, yeah, that's cool. The bridge probably it's way too. There's no chance I'm gonna make it." And you're like, "Well, I'll let you know how it goes." And then and I was like, "Oh no," I felt so bad. And then,
dude, how brutal was that drive home?
Oh, because it was the most frustrating drive home ever because I had emailed the booker like, "Hey, sorry this all happened," and blah blah blah, and the whole thing, and and I go, "I guess I should have taken that Thursday room, huh?" And he goes, "Oh, you're all set. Mark did 90 minutes." And I go, "Get the fuck out of here."
And then he went, "P.S. Tear up that check I sent you."
Yeah. Yeah. Like, you couldn't have waited a day to send me that part? Like, I'm on the drive home, and I get this email back, and it's like, oh, just shred that check you get. Don't even think
Like,
about
there's
cashing it.
a small hope that he'd be like, it wasn't anything he did.
Right.
So
That was my
I'll
hope.
probably just still send him the money.
That was my hope. And it didn't work out that way, but that's life. But I
Yeah.
that drive home was the saddest. And I had texted this number that was going to give you like updates of what's going on with the bridge, right? So like, I think I got one that said, we'll let you know in 2 hours, basically, whatever. And I am a half hour from my doorstep, and I get which it's also because it was like a 4-hour drive home or something.
Yeah.
Mind you, in the middle of the night, because I can't afford to get a hotel room.
Oh, man.
I know. It was like, oh, shit. I can't even, like, crash somewhere, And so I'm, like, a half hour from home, and I get a text, and it says, "The bridge is now reopened." And I was like, shit. Even though it was also, like, 1 a.m. And,
those bastards.
oh, no, I got this text that said, the bridge will be closed overnight. And that's when I was like, okay, I'm just glad I went home, but also I could have just gone home sooner.
Yeah, that's the worst.
And
part
also
about it.
I could have just left probably 3 hours, because I got to the bridge 2 hours after it had closed. So I just missed
Oh,
it.
my God.
It was just one of those nights, man, where you're just like, nature 1, Nate 0,
I felt so bad, man.
Yeah, and then you had to go home. You had to leave like right away to go home because of a snowstorm in Minneapolis.
Oh my God! I couldn't believe it. I'm like, because it had snowed the day before, but then it stopped and I got out, but then there was another blizzard coming through, and we were like moving stuff into the house that weekend.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, what a cluster F.
I hope you at least got my money.
Oh, I got your money.
That's good. You earned it, man. Well. You earned it. You earned it. Oh.
I spent it on pepperoni packs and string cheese, my friend.
Well, you enjoy the shit out of that, because well, that's like, and I was thinking on the way home, like, how this is the perfect week for this to happen, because had I been working with someone that I didn't know, or like someone that wasn't like, I don't know, just roll with it, it's just like, could you imagine the phone call to a guy that you don't know, just like, "Hey man, the bridge is closed." What?
Yeah. Well, you've worked with enough headliners to know the ones that, like, if there's one small thing wrong with the show, that they just can't handle it.
Yeah.
It's so strange. Like, some comedians need things to be like so perfect before the show begins.
Yep.
It's like, turn those lights off, get the sound going, move these people over here. It's like, I walk into a room and I'm like, where's the stage? All right, let's do this. People are just like, well, maybe we should hold the show till more people are in here.
Well, the bridge is closed. There's nobody.
Yeah. I was still surprised, like 72 people showed up, but she was expecting like 200, and she said most of them were south of the bridge, and I'm like, oh my God. Every
time I've done it, it's been packed. That's why I was like, at least I'm not. At least you guys know I wasn't lying.
Well, they've changed it a little bit too, where it's free now to get in. Which I'm just like, it drives me so bonkers when people do free comedy.
Yeah, it usually cheapens the audience. Yeah, the audience, there's nothing invested there. But the last time I was there, it was all, because, it was a big snowmobiling community up there, and it was people in snowsuits and helmets. Like, it was,
they were wearing the helmets.
Yeah, some had it. They just walk in with them on, because that's just how they travel up there. And I'm like, what? It's the
Well, that makes
weirdest
sense.
thing.
Now, there's like signs on every door when you walk in that says "Take your helmets off."
Yes. No helmets inside.
It just walks around with the helmet on like they're a spaceman. Like,
That's
take
what
your
it looked
helmet
like.
off, you idiot.
You can take them off, guys. Oh my God.
I'm a spaceman. Let's go to the moon.
Yeah, man. I'm glad the show went well, and
Yeah, it did.
let's hope for a better trip next time.
Yeah, holy smokes, man. We need to do a gig where we both get there on time and
Yeah, I'll take the.
can podcast it up even more.
I'll guarantee you. I'll guarantee you. The next time I'll be taking that Thursday room.
You better.
Yeah.
From this day forward, my friend.
Always take it. Always take the extra room. So I am gonna play that track too in the podcast as well from the album. I'll put a link for people to buy the album too. But if you wanna plug, what do you got coming up? You got a website, right, that people can find you at, all your shows, all your stuff.
MarkPoolos.com.
Hell yeah.
The Twitter is @theMarkPoolos. And my podcasts are Unbridled Enthusiasm and One Step from the Spotlight.
Awesome.
On iTunes.
They're both on iTunes, and all the details are at markpoolos.com.
That is correct.
And you'll
Husband, Father, Idiot. New CD.
That's the newest one, right? And you got like what, 3 or 4 out?
Yeah, I got 4, and my comedy special comes out this summer.
Oh,
called,
the Dry Bar Comedy.
2 daughters, 1 wife, 0 influence.
That's great. Oh yeah.
And that went well too, so I'm excited to see the footage.
Yeah, man, I've seen those specials they put together. They turned out really nice. So
yeah, they shoot them with like 4K cameras.
Yeah.
And they got like dollies and shit.
It's legit.
It's pretty professional.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Also, thank you for being willing to finish it tonight, even though I know it's life happens.
Hey, life happens, man.
But
your daughter needs pepperoni, and she's tired of you being on the phone, and you just
the pepperoni is for your daughter?
Oh, she loves the peps.
I thought those were for you.
Well, I might have a few here or there.
2 for me, 1 for you. Yes.
She knows the distributing program.
She knows. She's like, you know what? Why don't you go close the bridge so you can get more money? This is all a setup.
She's the one that called it in.
This is a setup. Close the bridge.
Nate Armbruster. Daddy needs more money for peps.
That's right.